Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm actually going to be doing the lady survey that was started by Rosanna over at Miss Chvrches, and I was tagged by Sophie from Over 17 Years. There will be links to both of their videos down in the description below, and if you aren't subscribed to their channel, definitely check them out. They are both amazing YouTubers. 1. Do you agree that the internet is a harder space for women? Why? Is it helpful or harmful to acknowledge that? Whew, she started off with a big one. This is a very complicated question because there are a lot of questions that I have about the question itself. I am going to direct both of you guys to both Sable Cott's lady survey and also Leslie Found Her Grail's lady survey because they do an amazing job answering this first question, and I definitely think they are just people in general that you guys should be watching. Is the internet a harder space for women compared to men? I would say yes, because there are just these ideas that are ingrained into certain people's minds that it's okay to threaten women in a way that is, you know, harming for their lives. There are plenty of stories out there of people who have just stopped having an internet presence because they were actually worried about their safety, like their physical safety, people stalking them, people threatening to come find them in real life and harm them in some way. And that happens a lot to ladies, but it does happen to guys as well. If a guy gets threatened by a female, it isn't quite as scary for the guy as if a female is threatened by a guy. I'm not saying that guys are never threatened by girls and girls can't harm guys, but it is more likely to be harmful for when a guy threatens a woman. I'm making really broad generalizations here. Obviously, every situation is different, but this question is kind of general, so I have to speak about the situations in a general way. But at the same time, I feel really uneducated in the internet hate that men tend to deal with, because guys do get just as much crap thrown at them as girls do, but I think it's just a different type of crap. But I think that also changes when you deal with race. I've heard of situations where guys who are people of color get threatened by, you know, bigots and racists. So this is a very complicated question, but I would say in general, yes. I think it's helpful to acknowledge all these things that are happening, but I think at the same time, just like I'm having difficulties talking about the situations because there's so many variables that come into play, I think people need to keep that in mind as well. Number 2, what is the most helpful book, article, film, video, etc. that you've seen this year about womanhood? There are a couple of things I want to mention to you guys. Links to everything will be down in the description below. The first one is an article or a column in The Guardian written by the lead singer of Chvrches. Her name is Lauren Mayberry, and basically she just talks about how she won't stand for this online misogyny that takes place. She handles a lot of the band's social media accounts, and you know, she reads like all the Facebook messages and Twitter messages and things like that, and she just talks about how much crap she has to see online and how she just can't stand it anymore. And that in and of itself just made me so happy. If you follow me on Twitter or Tumblr, you may have seen me post about it, but I just absolutely loved that column, and I just wanted to like give her a round of applause after I read it, because amen, sister. There was also a documentary that was on PBS earlier this year on the history of feminism that I thought was really interesting. I will look to see if that is still available online. I know it was available online earlier this year, and I actually talked about it in one of my old Friday favorites videos. If that's available, I will put a link to that down in the description, but I think it's just really important to see, you know, where we've come from in order to understand where we need to go and just to understand the history behind everything that's happening. And then 2 TV shows that I really enjoyed that I feel like are very pro women in the sense of they display different types of women and they display all types of stories and things like that. The 2 are Call the Midwife, which is a British show, and then Orange is the New Black, which is a Netflix show. If you haven't watched either of these yet, please watch them. I think they're both on Netflix. And again, I've talked about these in Friday favorites in the past, but both of these shows just have such interestingly written and complex characters, and it just shows various walks of life, and I think really highlights the diversity that women and human beings can be, which I think is really important. Number 3. Do you think a focus on supportive networks of women online, whether formally through things like Wonderly or informally, is beneficial or hurts the cause? I think these things are beneficial. I know through Wonderly, I personally have been able to find a lot more female content creators who I didn't know about beforehand, and even just their efforts to try to highlight different people who aren't even a part of their networks, just good content that they see that are made by women. I think the one thing that sometimes I see happening, and I'm not blaming these networks for it, but I just see this happening, is people tend to see these female focused channels or outlets or anything like that, and they think that that's the only way to be a female. Things like Wonderly and websites like Hello Giggles, they have a very specific brand, which again, I'm not bashing in any way whatsoever, but I have seen some people talk about the fact that they don't feel like they fit into those specific channels because they don't have an interest in those things. But I think what needs to be made clear is that those aren't the only things that define a female. I think sometimes it can be easy to feel like if you don't fit into one of those specific channels or one of those specific outlets, then you feel left out or you feel different or anything like that. So with these types of outlets, I think it's important to recognize that these things exist in order to help bring more female voices up front, but those aren't the only types of voices that are out there. But just to be clear, I think these things are really important, and I think it is very helpful to have female focused channels or websites or things like that, because it helps bring issues or just creators in general to the forefront who previously weren't recognized. Number 4, what have you done to support female content creators in the past year? Are things better now than they were then? What do you pledge to do in this coming year? I think just the most important thing people can do is to be vocal about the content that they love, no matter who makes it. With my Friday favorites, I try to highlight the things that I love, and I've just noticed, just because of the way my tastes are, they tend to lean more female. I get really excited when there are female content creators or things that I love that are created by women or starring women or anything like that. So in general, I tend to be more vocal about those things. But I know that personally one of the things I need to do is comment more on things or let those creators know that I love their things. Like a lot of times I talk about things in my videos and I shout out people and I don't really say anything to the creator themselves. Like I need to make more of an effort to comment on videos or, you know, tweet at them and say how much I like their stuff, because I know that those things mean a lot to me, and so I should make more of an effort to do that for other people. In terms of are things better now than they were before, personally I think they are. I think that while there are still problems out there, I feel like there are a lot more people who are vocal about the problems. So when they see a problem, they are willing to call it out, which is something that I feel like happened less before, and it happens more often now. At least people are more willing to speak out about the problems that they see, or people are more aware of the problems and therefore speaking out more. So I feel like in that sense things are getting better. I mean, it still sucks that there is misogyny and sexism and things like that, but I feel like things are getting better, but maybe that's just the optimist in me who tries to see the positivity and stuff. Your favorite 5 internet females. Okay, so I did the lady survey last year and I shouted this lady out, but I'm going to shout her out again this year. Her name online is Dodger. She has 2 channels on YouTube. It's Press Hard to Continue and Dexterity Bonus. I really love her channel. Her Press Hard channel is all about video games, and her Dexterity Bonus is basically just daily vlogging. She has coffee time where she drinks a cup of coffee and tells you about her day. But I love her. I think she's super sweet, and I don't even play video games. Like, I don't own a console. The most video games that I play are the ones on my phone, but I love her channel. I love watching her playthroughs. I think she's just super fun and deserves all of the views. Another person is Franchesca from Chvrches, I think her YouTube channel is. She just does a lot of different types of videos. She does some sketches, she does some serious vlogging, she does some parodies and things like that, and she is just so much fun, and she is very honest and very real and doesn't take crap from anybody, which I absolutely love. I really love Maureen Johnson. Her Twitter profile is the best, or her like Twitter account is by far one of the best ones that I follow ever, and if you're on Twitter and you're not following Maureen Johnson, you are doing Twitter wrong. It is just a rule of the world. I really like MalfoyIsOurKing, who is a YouTube vlogger, and I believe I've shouted her out in Friday Favorites in the past. But I love all of her videos. They are all so intelligent, and I wish I could be as smart as her, even though I'm pretty sure she's younger than me. And then for my final one, I am just going to put a link to my booktube shout out playlist because I can't pick a fifth person, and 80% or possibly more, I think it's more like 98% of that playlist is female, and they're all awesome booktubers, so I think you should watch all of them and subscribe to all of them because they're fantastic. So yeah, that is the lady survey for this year. Thanks so much to Sophie for tagging me, and thanks to Rosanna for creating this. I am not going to tag anyone specific because I didn't think about this ahead of time, but I do want to see more booktubers do it. If you haven't done this one yet, definitely do this because I think these are important things to think about, and it took me like 2 weeks to do this because I had to think about my answers for a really long time before I could figure out what I wanted to say, but it is totally worth it. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching.